So Elton John, 1970.
You know what? I recognized it
Yep.
from previous broadcasts and times that we've had KCLC, I believe. But I did not know it before
This.
you kind of brought it into the whole mix.
So let me share some of the lyrics to this song, and it's appropriate for what we've been dealing with in the news. Holy Moses, I've been deceived. Holy Moses, let us live in peace. Let us strive to find a way to make all hatred cease. There's a man over there. What's his color? I don't care. He's my brother. Let us live in peace. And those are the prophetic and deep words of Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
Okay.
And I've been stewing on this Springfield, Ohio stuff in the news, and if you haven't been following it closely, there was a false accusation, and the person who made the false accusation came forward and said, I was just telling a story. And the false accusation was Haitian folks in Springfield, Ohio, stealing and eating pets. The person who made that allegation has come out and said, I was making that up. And then those words got exploited. And then
there's been some repercussions of the words.
Of those words.
Consequences.
There has been, and I don't know if you saw it, but it's been in the news, what could be described as organizations that are affiliate by being white supremacists of several types have shown up to Springfield, Ohio. And matter of fact, I even saw a handout from the Klan, as in the Ku Klux Klan, handing out threatening flyers, on paper to people in town. Schools have been closed because of threats made, whether they're hoaxes or not, it doesn't matter. It's threats enough to close schools, even if they were fake bomb threats. The two hospitals in town also had to go into lockdown because of the same threats made. There is state police stationed at all the schools right now in Springfield, Ohio. And
this is a place you called home.
Yeah.
For a bit of time, those years, second grade, and
although from preschool to second grade, and the college there that was closed is also doing remote classwork this week, and they've canceled their football game because of credible threats too, and threat of violence, and so all from careless words, and this extreme amount of hate that is directed. Now, what is also fascinating is that the Haitian immigrants that have come to town to find work, they are legal. They're legal. I mean, they have status within the immigration system. So it's not even some sort of, they are not supposed to be here. They have status for work and those things. And so this whole thing of hate and hating people from other countries, hating people for their color, and then playing on what we would call racist stereotypes of what people eat, and for many years the Chinese community was, the racist joke was that, they eat cats too, and dogs. So it's a racist thing, and it's just no room for that in the world. And here's the thing. You're just like, well, you're being political. If me calling out racism is political, then we got other things to talk about. There's no room for hate, period. There's no room for seeing the differences in other people and then just hating them for it. There just isn't room for that at all. And so, so guess what? we at this church denounce racism and white supremacy and things that could cause harm to other people. There's just no room for that. There's no justifiable place to do and treat people that way.
Right, and it's part of why we gather together too. We're confessing that like we all get caught in these temptations of quick to label somebody as the other.
As the other.
And what we want to come back to as a church is, yeah, we name that as evil, but then we also recognize in ourselves like, hey, I want to do better. I want to bring more love into this world and
That's right.
into the the part that matters to me and that I can see right in front of me. I want to bring love into this world and not more hate.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when it strikes us when like it's a place you called home.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it matters seeing hate there and not love.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And the thing is that may seem a world away, but it's not far-fetched to think it could happen here or any city in the United States.
Right.
And so you have to deal with it head on, or it could come into your backyard, right?
Yeah.
And so, we just want to denounce all of that. And this weekend, I talked a little bit about hate as a learned behavior. Because, the proof of that is babies aren't born hating. That is a learned behavior. And so how do you unlearn hate? Which, by the way, we had a very robust discussion today in both meetings that we had today about how does one unlearn hate or unlearn anything for that matter. And it's one thing to say it, but it's part of this is consciously choosing to not rely on old knowledge or values or behavior. So it's very infrequent that one can unlearn behavior from an external source, meaning the individual has to be open to disavow previous learnings or mindsets. So this work begins internally, short of a divine act of God, where God gets your attention, like Saul of Tarsus, to knock you off your horse and blind you. And it takes that sort of response when one is entrenched to have them think twice. Yeah. It wouldn't have been the same if Jesus would have tapped him on the shoulder and said, Saul, you need to rethink the hate thing. Yeah. That would not have been strong enough for...
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because no matter what it is, because I mean, there's also that disturbing. Some of Jesus' parables get disturbing.
Yeah.
But there's that disturbing parable about Jesus, the rich man, and Lazarus.
Yeah.
And you have this rich man who is just like, let me go back from the dead and give a warning, or have somebody, if they see somebody come back from the dead, then surely they'll change their ways, because that'll shock them. And Jesus says, you know what? If you're not open, if you're closed-hearted,
Nothing's
you can see all kinds of miracles
and miss them.
And you can miss them.
That's right.
And it's just like, yeah, it takes those moments, and then it takes that. I'm gonna receive this.
Yep.
What am I gonna do with this?
What are you gonna do with it? So it really begins with a personal openness to new information. And here's the thing about any learning we do, as it relates to brain chemistry. Our brains, when we learn something, it becomes ingrained, or to use a different metaphor, when we've learned something, anything, good or bad, we are like a rutted road. I don't know if you've ever been out in the country, but if you've ever been on a gravel road that's traveled on a lot, there's two ruts where the wheels have been, and there's a hump in the middle.
Yes.
That's a rutted road. Many of us know about rutted roads, but if you grew up in the city, you may not. And our brains, once we learn something, are like a rutted road, and it's hard to get off the rutted road. It becomes ingrained. And so that's why that internal clock or internal voice telling you to be open to something, it takes a lot of work to consciously break the neurons that have created that rut or that
It
pathway.
does. Like you're just gonna keep going down that same course.
path, right? And so that's why questioning assumptions and challenging your own beliefs is the first place to change the way you think.
Or to believe even that, like the line to this Border song by Elton John, I have been deceived. To even admit that, a lot of times we will find reasons to say, no, I can still point out reasons why I'm still correct. And we find little things to say, no, I wasn't deceived. It was,
somebody else, something else.
This, you're wrong.
Yeah. And some people are willing to die on a hill, figuratively speaking, rather than admit they've been deceived or they're wrong. Because that somehow is more palatable than, saving face and just saying, I was wrong about that. Mm-hmm. And that's a part of our mission statement of being real, is we own our junk. I was wrong about this. Yeah. And there's more integrity in owning it than doubling down. And that is true from a Christian point of view. But here's the thing. Any process where you got to make some change in your life, it's this. You learn something, and if it's faulty, then you have to unlearn it, but then you have to relearn a new behavior. So learn, unlearn, and then relearn. And the unlearning part is not the easy part, challenging your assumptions, your beliefs, and thinking about things in a new way. And then replacing that bad learning with something new, the relearning, is going to take repetition to create a new rutted road in your brain, right? And so that's not easy at all. But here's the boil down. Unless you are open to it, it won't happen. And I think there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen in our world for lots of different reasons, but hate and racism would be one of them.
Right, and it's unfortunate, but it's something we got to talk about, try to understand and see in ourselves, see in our world that it is so, we're so quick to hate.
Yep, we are quick to hate.
We see that in our world, how fast that happens.
And then what we've seen in Ohio is an escalation to threats and violence. I mean, hate is bad enough, but then when you act on that's
what's really disturbing to me. Like some of these white supremacist groups coming in from outside, and they're looking for something to hate, and
to cause a fight.
and it's just like, that's deplorable. That's awful.
Yep.
But how often do we seek out that kind of gossip? Maybe
that's right.
What are we doing? And okay, no, I need to start looking for the love.
Right.
And how can I feed that and care for that?
That's right. And I've said this a bunch of times. I've said it in sermons. I've said it to individuals, and I'll say it here. You cannot legislate yourself into a better place. There's not a political solution for this. I mean, there are laws to protect people, which are good, from hate crimes and so on and so forth. But there is nothing you can say, well, there's a law that you just have to be nice to people. Those kinds of things do not happen at a governmental level.
No. I wish I could legislate it with my kids. You will be good today.
Right?
But you can't.
Yeah. And here's the thing is if you can't, here's the proof of if you can't maintain that kind of order in your own house, which none of us can, what makes you think that any political party or any government can do the same thing? You can't legislate morality. You can't legislate love. Banning, alcohol sales, a prohibition. That was a smashing success, wasn't it? Because you can't legislate morality. And so everything we're talking about is about individuals coming to a new reality and then living into that new reality. And it also points to the brokenness of humanity. Yeah. But it is disheartening to me, and I felt like we had a little bit more to talk about from Sunday about unlearning hate and spilled over to today. So just wanted you to think on those things. We're not done yet. We got more for you today, but we're going to switch gears now. On a more positive note, the most exciting thing that has happened to me in the last 24 hours,
Yes.
for the first time probably since May,
Ooh.
I turned off the air conditioning and opened the windows last night.
Ooh, look at that.
I'm pretty hardcore about sleeping in cool weather. I'm not one to be like, I do not like to like sweat and try to sleep. I like it cool.
Yeah.
I don't even mind a warmer temperature in the house while I'm awake, but when I go to bed,
Oh, yeah.
I want it cool.
Yeah.
So I'm not one to jump to opening my windows prematurely. So the fact that last night, 10 o'clock, I looked at the temperature, it was 70 degrees, and I opened all the windows and shut off the air conditioning. That was exciting.
That's exciting.
And I think I'm going to get to do it again the next couple of nights. It's going to warm up again.
It looks like it might warm up a little bit.
But at least...
We are beginning to turn a corner here.
Yes. And give that poor air conditioner a break.
They need a break.
Right?
Our tired air conditioners at this
Just
building,
need a
too.
rest.
They need just a moment.
The moment to breathe, right? So, but yes, even this morning when I left the house, closed the windows and turned everything back on.
Yeah,
So that
we had our windows open, but we closed everything up pretty tight before we left.
So I was super excited to like have fresh air in the house for the first time in what feels like 6 months.
Yeah, a little
So,
breeze that
yeah.
goes through the house then.
So
yeah.
that was a nice break as well. So yeah, so that was the highlight of my Monday is opening the windows.
Opening the windows.
Now I made the mistake yesterday because Rachel and I had a bunch of stuff to do yesterday on Monday, and we were busy kind of beginning to end yesterday. And this morning, I was up about 6 and moving through the house, and I see something on the floor in the living room, like dust.
Okay.
And when Rachel sleeps in later than I do, I say to her, I said, this morning I got up and there was like gunk on the floor. Like, I don't know why there was just this patch of dust in this corner. Not corner, but in this area. And I said, I don't know. She's like, first of all, you need to wash the floors. Which is my responsibility, and I did not do yesterday because we were busy all day. So she wasn't complaining about that. She's like, first of all, you need to wash the floors. Secondly, she's like, let me connect the dots for you. That is the exact area where you iron your shirts and you use spray starch, which I do. So what that was, it was spray starch residue when you spray and it goes over the ironing board onto the floor. So it was a mess of my own making and an accumulation of a week's worth of spray starch on the tile floor.
But the mystery was solved.
The mystery was solved.
Yes.
Not by my great intelligence,
yes.
but Rachel just pointing out the obvious.
Deductive reasoning.
Yeah, just the obvious.
Put it all together.
So there might be floor washing tonight after work because of
evening floor washing.
Because of my own spray starch. I actually just outed myself on, by saying that to her. Like, look at this. It's like, it's your spray starch. I'm like, oh, so.
Yes.
What can you do?
What can you do?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Anything exciting with you guys or no? Just quiet day yesterday. Kids at school. Everybody quiet.
Everybody's super quiet. We do have a birthday for the new baby, though. So.
You're having a baby?
Yeah. October 4th.
There we go.
Yeah, so the baby does have to be a C-section this time around, so that'll be a new thing for us.
Okay, sure.
It's kind of a big deal, but
yes,
but it does actually get the date on the calendar.
It does get it on the calendar,
which is also handy in its own way.
Yeah, I mean it's
so.
I can already know I can count on you for the first Bible study of the month.
Yes,
I'm
right.
kidding. It's
now
not about
I'm in.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
good, because I was worried about that part. No, I'm kidding. So no, but it does. It just kind of firms things up. Get ready. You know the timing.
All
that kind of stuff. So that's good for you guys. And
so
then
that's coming.
And then some time with you guys, specifically you at home, getting kind of letting Kira heal.
Yeah.
getting the boys to and fro,
getting all that, you know, doing all that, all those
getting
things.
the spray starch off the floors.
Yeah,
you
we'll
know.
have to make sure that happens too. Yeah.
But good for you guys.
But that'll be good. Yeah,
Yes,
but that was,
is
I guess
great.
that was the big news there. So
Good.
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful. So even though we opened with Elton John's Border Song, we do have something from this Sunday, and it was at 9:30, and part of our core values of learning, and this is a song, believe it or not, by Bill and Gloria Gaither from 1994. Did you know that, Philip? Yeah. So I had to do some sleuthing, and Bill and Gloria Gaither, 1994, and it is Teach Me, Lord, to Wait. So let's take a listen, and we'll talk about that when we get back. Isn't that a great song?
That's a great song. Yes.
So a couple of things in there you might have seen is we had Carolyn Clark playing piano.
On the keys.
Yeah.
How about that?
David was out, and, you know, we are so blessed to have such what I call a deep bench that all of a sudden, you know, oh, Carolyn, you play piano. Would you play on Sunday? And she just jumped right in, and she's going to be playing piano and singing with Dana Martin on Saturday at the women's retreat. And so it's just so great to have so many talented folks that want to step up, that want to serve. But as I look at that choir, it occurs to me that pretty soon what we're going to end up doing is putting the congregation up on the stage and just let the choir sit in the seats, because I see this imbalance growing. If you know, we're gonna have a 400 person choir, and the rest of us are just gonna be up on stage.
We're over here, trying to figure this out before Christmas. Like, what do we do as this choir? Keeps building and
Which
building and building.
We love. Yeah. And I think we figured out a solution today. We have a working solution to create a little bit more room, because we know we have a few more choir members coming back from summer vacations, and some other folks who are interested in joining the choir. And we kind of looked at everything today, and I think we have a solution
hang them
for
from
that.
The rafters.
Yes, we are.
That's exciting.
It's gonna be great that we're gonna have. Be just
Wow.
like repelling choir members
Yeah.
up and down.
Goodness gracious.
It'll be a show.
It'll be quite the Christmas.
That's
here
it.
at
Well,
CLC.
we'll have angels descending and ascending, right? So, and then Martha Generelli was the solo in
beautiful.
that, and
That
we
was
just
wonderful.
love her voice. It is so calming and reassuring, and you can just, cuddle up to a voice like that. Just like, you just go,
isn't it?
right? I mean, seriously, it is just a beautiful voice. So we give thanks for all of those bits and pieces, plus the choir and all of that. So
Absolutely.
what a wonderful thing. So we were talking about learning this weekend as one of our core values. And as you know, we talked about I would say the one thing that I wanted you to learn beyond Jesus as Lord is unlearn the hate. But overall, we should be on a path of learning and growing.
Yeah.
And when we do that, there are some times that we need God to build into our lives patience.
That is true. We don't want to admit that, but that is true.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I mean, on Friday, thanks for coming to Pueblo Imaging, by the way, on Friday to support
you're
me. I really
welcome.
appreciate that. I'm kidding. I had my MRI, and what's fascinating about it, so yesterday, got the results, the MRI. I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
So if you think we got to get back to the
I
Bible,
thought it was
I'm getting
a
us there.
tangent for
no,
a second
no, no.
there.
We're going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
Fascinating. The MRI read by a radiologist or whatever
Yes.
says, I actually have a copy of the report, says you have a bulging disc in L5, which is your lowest L, I guess, right? Yeah, my lowest L. And even said, and it's bulging by 5 millimeters, which I can attest to because I can feel it.
Wow. Okay.
Anyways, what's crazy about this is when I was away, I got in to see a doctor while I was not in town. And he did me several movements, and he diagnosed that without even laying a hand on me.
Yeah, he could. He didn't have to do the imaging.
No.
He knew.
He
That's
knew.
the one.
And just by me doing several movements, him not even touching me, he's like, this is what you got going on. And I think to myself, if this doctor could do this without even touching me, and then I have a MRI, kind of the highest imaging,
The best
the
technology
best there
you can
is,
get. Yeah.
and it says the thing that the guy said to me without even touching me. I wish I could go get treatment from this guy 1,800 miles away, but I can't, right? But here's the thing, teaching patience. The patience for me, see, I told you I got a point to this story, is it's hard to wait when you're uncomfortable. When you're spiritually uncomfortable, when you're mentally uncomfortable with something, when you are physically uncomfortable with something, it's hard to wait.
For sure.
And so it doesn't come naturally to us. Am I waiting while I get treatment to see if this will get better? I don't know if it'll ever be 100%, but get to the point where I'm not thinking about it because I'm not feeling it all the time, right? And part of it is just it develops, or it takes time to develop patience. Teach me, Lord, to wait.
It absolutely does. I mean, we get so caught up in the world of I need it now and can't wait another second, and it's just like, why can't it happen right on my timeline right now, right now.
Yep, all of that. And and going along with that is, when is somebody going to invent a microwave that actually works faster? Because that's not fast enough.
Not fast enough.
I need a faster microwave.
A minute 30 is way
That's
too long.
way too long before I have dinner.
Yeah.
So
Excruciating watching that
countdown, right? Oh, patience is something we have to develop, and being able to wait for the Lord. So I picked out 3 things today of what happens to us if we're willing to wait for God to act in our life. Number 1, we cling to the promises of God while we wait. If there's not resolution and you're a person of faith, what you do is you wait for God to act. And while you're waiting, what do you have at your disposal but the things that God promises? that he's going to be with us, watch over us, love us. Nothing will get in the way of that. And I wanted to share with you Psalm 130, verse 5. I wait for the Lord, and my soul waits, right? There's the condition. Do you like it when you have to wait? No. But it's a reality. And in his word, I put my hope. Oh. So even though I don't like waiting, the thing I can do while I'm waiting is cling to the promises of God and his love and his reassurance, and let that be bigger in my life than the discomfort I'm feeling emotionally, physically, spiritually. Let that be the bigger thing. And so I think that's important. But then secondly, and I'm going to share this with Pastor Brian, realize that even in that waiting time, Lord, teach me to wait, that God is with me while I'm waiting. It's not like, oh, I'm by myself, but somehow God's off doing something, and when he's ready to respond to my request, then God's going to show up and do the thing, but right now he's busy. Kind of like the story of Elijah and the Baal gods when Elijah says, maybe Baal is busy, maybe he's on vacation, maybe he's taking a nap, right?
Yeah, those false idols never show up when you need them.
When you need them.
Yeah.
But the realization is that even while we wait, God is present.
Yeah.
And I think that is super important. There's this great story.
Right. And so this was from the book of Exodus when people were struggling with that very question. Is God with us? Where is God leading us?
And they're waiting.
They're waiting.
Remember? Because they're not in the promised land yet.
Absolutely.
So the realization of that promise has not happened yet.
No. So they're in that in-between liminal space.
Yep. Good word. Liminal.
From Exodus 33. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways so that I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people. The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest.
Oh, so even though the promise hadn't been realized, and there was still this, we're not where we need to be, God says, I'm going to be with you. And I'm going to be with you even while you're waiting, while you're resting, while you're waiting for resolution.
Yeah.
And so just know that whatever you're going through, struggling with something, just know that God's here in this moment with you, the way I know that God is here with us too in this moment. And that even if life isn't 100% perfect, that doesn't mean God has abandoned you. That God says, I'm going to be there with you as you struggle, right? And as you wait. And then lastly, I think the most important thing is while you're waiting is come to the conclusion, even without resolution, that God's plans are better than your own plans.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not resolved yet. I'm waiting for something. But I know whatever it is going to be what God wants for me and way better than what I want for myself.
Yeah.
And we go back to Romans chapter 8. Which many of you know, we've referenced it a bunch. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to God's purpose. And for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed into the likeness of his Son, so that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. So God works for the good in all things, even the bad things. Yeah. So even as we wait, God's working out something for you. And even the working it out at the totality of all of life is heaven. I mean, you think about God works for the good in those who love him. Even if life has been a struggle from beginning, even at the end, the promise is still greater than what came before. And then he says, and beyond that is that for those that God foreknew, in other words, that he called to be the children of God, he's like, in this process of waiting, you will also be molded into the image of Jesus. While God is working on us and in us through the waiting, if we keep the faith, and that Jesus was the firstborn of the resurrection, but he's molding us and making us to be like Jesus if we're open to it. And once again, sometimes that requires unlearning stuff.
Yes, it does.
And relearning the ways of Jesus. Letting go of some of that junk in our lives, including the hate. So, But we're glad that you've joined us today. Thank you for spending some time with us, talking about some important stuff, some heavy stuff, some struggles in our world, and I think they're important to be open and talk about. And we just want you to be with us and help you process some of this stuff. But on top of that, we hope you can join us tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. If you didn't sign up to come to dinner tomorrow, we go online at 6 o'clock for Bible study, and I'm going to be hopefully finishing up the book of Esther tomorrow. And if we get to the end of that, then we'll dig into a little bit of Job, which is the next book of the Bible. Yep. And we'll take a look at that. But we'd love for you to join us tomorrow if you have nothing going on, and you can put us on your computer, on your TV, or on your phone or tablet or whatever you got. We'd love to have you. So with that, we give thanks that you joined us today. We love you. God bless you. Take care. And once again, we're turning it over to Dr. Philip Fortenberry. Bye-bye, everybody.